I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Here we go. It's time for another episode of Oops the Podcast. I am Francis Ellis, by God, and I am joined by Giulio Gallerati.
By God.
I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder today, G.
Love it, dude. Love it. I can't wait to let her rip.
Yeah, well, prepare thyselves.
Dude, I have a quick observation. So first of all, I don't know if on the eve of Chris's born day, it's not this episode, it's the next episode, Chris has lost a bunch of weight. He's looking good. But I've noticed for every pound he loses, he adds a piece of jewelry. The kid, I swear to God, the past 3 months, every week he's got a new ring, he's got a new fucking bracelet. He's just, it's really funny.
Guy just keeps looking like he keeps leveling up in some Mythic Quest video game.
He feels naked or something. He's like, oh my God, I'm too skinny. I gotta cover it up.
He's earning rune stones and ancient.
I gotta add these pounds back somehow. You know?
Gotta add them back, bro. Love it.
Yeah,
love it, dude.
It's amazing. Don't your hands get heavy from all the rings?
I mean, no, but my body's pretty lighter, so I could feel like I could handle it. You know?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Dude,
I gotcha. Chris told me that he
Looking
was
good.
working out and he was doing hang cleans.
Oh, dude, damn. Remember those? College?
Yeah, I tried to forget them. To me, that was like the way, you know how
I
women
hated
forget
those.
about the pain of childbirth?
Dude.
So because they know that if they did remember it, they'd never want to do it again.
That's the first I'm hearing that, but
There's some kind of biological concept, apparently, where the brain blocks out the memory of how painful it is to birth a child, because if anyone actually remembered that, they would
It's just
never
too
want to do
painful.
it again.
that's crazy.
And so that's what I did with hang cleans.
Dude, I hated them. I just remember getting all chalked up, and there was always one kid on the team who was too psyched to do them. He's like, let's fucking go. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
no.
He's like, smack me in the face. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
I'm hungover, dude.
Like,
I hate this.
find someone else to smack you in the face, Theodore.
Dude, terrible.
I hated that shit, man.
Yeah, I hated it. I hated it too.
Fucking weightlifting. Anyway, all of that is to say, Chris is looking svelte. I told him, I said, dude, you are on the precipice of just really a summer of constantly having sex.
Summer of Smash.
Summer of wetness,
Love it, dude.
of bog water. And he was like, nope, I'm 40 pounds away or something like that. He said he's not quite there yet. So I'm worried we're going to end up with a wafer thin sort of shell of a former man. Where does it end, Chris? Where does it end?
I don't know. You just got to keep going. I've been too big forever. Just trying to get small.
Your face looks good.
I know.
You're a
it's
hot
nice.
guy now.
I'm getting there.
You're a hot guy.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
You're looking good, dude.
Yeah. All okay. Anyway,
Wonderful.
what do we got, G?
Dude, so it's so funny. Every time I come to Francis's, and if the doorman stops me and he's like, where are you going? And I tell him, and then he goes, what's your name? And I say, Giulio. And he goes, Julian? And I say, no, Giulio. And he goes, Julian. I'm like, yeah, Julian. And then he just calls, he goes, Julian's here coming up. All right. And he goes, all right, Julian. And I'm just wondering, is that ever going to end? Like when masks are gone, are they then going to think I'm saying Julio and I'll never be able to explain that? Will they ever be able to say Giulio and wrap their head around it? I don't know. I don't think
This is something you've been dealing with your whole life, right?
Yes. It's pretty nuts.
My question is, do you have a breaking point?
Dude, I don't know, but I'll tell you this. My dad has the same name as I do. He used to spell his name Julio at one point. And because he was dealing with the same thing, and I'll complain about this to him. And I'm like, does this stuff happen to you? And he goes, yeah, isn't it terrible? And I'm like, why would you name me that? Why would you name me that too, dude? You knew about this the whole time? It's crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy.
Oh man.
Well, dude, I was hanging out with Francis this weekend a bunch.
Yes.
We hung out during the day. Francis has a crazy story about the Kentucky Derby
Oh,
that you need to tell us. Just like
Yeah, that
a
was-
crazy fortuitous, charmed situation.
That was the really the big break that went my way. Everything else has been kind of going the opposite way lately. But here's
Francis Big W.
This was a win. So we were at my friend's apartment. Giulio came over, and Giulio had comedy shows later in the evening. And when I have that, I usually have to be very temperate in how I drink during the day or whatever. But Giulio just on the way over basically said he was already accepting that he'd be on stage smashed.
Well, so this is the thing. I think I held it together. I was able to perform on both of my shows. I didn't do well on the second show, but it's not because I was fucked up. It's because I just didn't do well on the second show. The first show was great. But the one funny thing did happen. I called Francis and I said, so I'm meeting up with like some of Francis's friends. I want to make a good impression, like it's important to me that I can be integrated into Francis's group. And, these are like pretty sophisticated guys and girls. And like, I feel the need to, even though they're very friendly and welcoming, I also feel the need to come correct because they're very polite and they're well-mannered. So if they didn't like me, I would never know.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
So they would never, and then they would tell Francis when I left, and then he would have to defend me maybe, or he'd be like, "You're right. I don't know. We gotta change."
They're also very low key. They just don't care about much. So in order for you to have rubbed everyone the wrong way, you would have had to come
in hot,
really bad.
Yeah, and no, totally. And but I am also aware that when people come in really hot, they are unaware that they are doing so. Therefore, I always try to be humble enough to accept that perhaps I don't realize when I'm coming in too hot.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Anyway, I call Francis because my idea, I was like, I'm going to bring over some White Claws, but I wanted to make sure that bringing over White Claws was an acceptable thing to do.
Sure. And I immediately said, dude, you don't have to bring anything. There is an insane surplus of alcohol here. You're arriving 60% of the way through this gathering. There's no admission fee. We've talked about this so many times. This is you're past the point of being expected to bring anything.
Fine, but it's not you, it's your friend. So even though I know that I don't maybe have to, I feel like it's a nice gesture of kind of like breaking bread with the new pals to show them
Get that.
They probably don't even know that I brought anything.
And you know what's interesting about that, G, is that in this particular instance, my friend whose apartment we were at, their doorman, the building has placed a limit on the number of people that they can have in their apartments at 6 people.
Oh God,
which is bizarre. And maybe that is the rule, but like I think most places just kind of look the other way, and especially since we were out on a roof deck, it shouldn't have been an issue. But once 6 people had arrived, every person after that, my friend whose place it was, had to go down to the lobby to bring the people up.
What an interesting loophole.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just a complete bullshit workaround, but it's a hassle.
Yeah,
and so. You'd never met that friend of mine, I don't think.
True.
And to your point, I had to tell him to go down there to get my buddy, who he's never met before.
Totally.
And his first image of you is you holding a big crate of White Claws. So it probably did mean more. It was more apparent.
Perhaps,
that
right?
you'd brought a gift for the baby Jesus. Frankincense and myrrh and tangerine White Claws.
Frankincense and myrrh and tangerine White Claws.
That's it.
That is great.
A variety pack of claws.
Okay, well, I'm glad the claws were well received. But dude, I wanted you to backtrack about you playing golf, you being in the car.
Yes.
I want to hear this whole story. This is a great story.
It's the day of the Kentucky Derby, and frankly, it wasn't even really registering with me that it wasn't a Kentucky Derby party. It was just a gathering of friends, and I went and played golf, and then I'm driving back from golf, and the car that we have is my girlfriend's family's car. They've let us basically kind of take over the lease. They've been very generous about that. But because it's a lease, it has satellite radio in it, Sirius XM.
Right. They throw that in.
Yeah.
We'll give you satellite radio for a year.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't hate it.
I agree.
The thing I like about satellite radio is that is the decades
Oh yeah.
Channel
Dude.
5 is 50s, channel 6 is
60s,
60s,
it's the
70s,
best.
80s, 90s. And I'm just kind of flipping back and forth between the decades, and it's kind of fun. So I think I'm on the 80s channel. I don't even know which channel it is. And the song Funky Cold Medina is just starting.
By Tone Loc.
Yeah. I had never heard this song before. And if I had, I'd never seen the title of it.
Right.
And so I've got it right there on my screen on the car. And I'm like, oh, Funky Cold Medina. What the hell is that?
That's a classic pre-gangster rap song
Yeah.
where it's like talking about a story.
Bumpa-da-bumpa-dumpa, the Funky Cold Medina. And I think it's about a cross-dressing, a guy who hooks up with who he thinks is a woman. It felt very anti-trans.
Yeah, it's definitely dated.
It felt very out of touch, but keep in mind, it's a 30-year-old song, whatever. The point is, I listened to the whole song and I was like, that's kind of catchy.
Yeah.
Kind of like that Funky Cold Medina song. Jump forward a couple hours. I'm at our friend's apartment. 2 minutes before the Kentucky Derby is set to start, I walk in and I ask my friends, hey guys, who we betting on? Who's got money on the horses? And everyone starts throwing out. They're like, I got 4 different horses I'm on. Everyone's on different horses. So my friend Bill, our buddy,
Love him.
hands me his phone and it's got
Man.
the list of the horses on it. He's like, dude, just bet whatever you want. We'll figure it out later. And I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the horses. So I'm looking through the names and I see Old Medina is the name of one of the horses, which is about 62% of the name of the song Funky Cold Medina.
Literally.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is surreal. There's my horse. Throw $100 on it. The race, this is 2 minutes before the start of the Kentucky Derby. The race starts. Old Medina wins wire to wire. Didn't come from behind. Was never not in the lead and won the race. Now, it was relatively close, but
Usain bolted it.
just the whole time. And I'm sitting there. First of all, I'm on mushrooms. And as I have been a bit lately. And I'm sitting there and I'm like trying not to speak or utter a sound because I realize that I'm in the lead. And I feel like if I so much as exhale, I will jinx this horse. It will tire. And somehow I'm trying to like sync my breathing with the horse. And I'm like, come on.
Just becoming the jockey.
Let it one time. Let it happen.
Yeah.
And the horse wins. And I stood up and I started screaming and dancing. And I was like, I fucking did it. And everyone is looking at me like, dude, none of us were on that horse. Like, don't be an asshole. Don't rub it in. I say that. My friends are great. They were like happy for me, but they're also used to winning. And so, I was so sad that more people had not won with me because
Right.
there's nothing more fun than winning a long shot victory and being able to jump around with a friend or two who were also part of it. But I won 10-1, $1,000
Unbelievable, dude.
right there, right then and there.
That's so great. I was so psyched for you.
You
when I
were
heard that.
you were definitely the most excited for me. My girlfriend was there watching and she hates it when I bet, but she couldn't believe it for once. I actually won. So that was definitely exciting, right? So that was great.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was great.
That was great.
Old Medina, all because of that song coming on
Funky Comedy.
Dude, I have another buddy though. There's another story like this. And the only other buddy I have who won on that horse, who wasn't at the party, this guy Pete, who I ended up playing golf with the next day, he had also bet on Medina because he's currently hooking up with a girl named Medina.
That's crazy, dude.
She was like, there's a horse that's got my name. We got to bet on it. And he was like, okay. And
That's
he won $2,500 because he put more on it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the idea of winning betting on horses is just seems so difficult to me.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
It is. It is pretty spooky. I've been to Saratoga.
I've never been to a horse race.
It is one of the most fun places on earth. You go to the races at Saratoga. You get dressed up a little bit.
Is that one of the big ones?
Oh yeah,
Which one is
Saratoga, New York.
Do they do
Every weekend. Their biggest
got it,
weekend
got
is
it,
called
got it.
Travers Weekend. I went for a bachelor party.
Got it.
There's a comedy club in Saratoga that I've played a couple times.
Oh yeah, is that the Uber story? Is that revolving around a show?
We took the Uber home. We
That was
were up there for the bachelor party.
Got it. Yeah.
And we took the Uber home, and the driver had to drop his gun off before he drove us to New York City.
What a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But all of that is to say it's an awesome town. It obviously explodes in the summer. And if you ever have the chance, I mean, it's a really good bachelor party to bring your buddies up to Saratoga for the weekend and go to the horse races. Incredible bar scene downtown. But also, betting on the horses, you go up to an old fashioned ticket window and you place your bet on the horse. There's like 20 races throughout the day.
That's crazy.
They happen every half hour or something. So you get a drink after it ends and you kind of relax for a bit and then you get excited for the next one. You go up to the ticket window and some old dude who's been working there for 100 years, you're like, I want to bundle the 1 horse and the 6 horse, and you got a little pamphlet that's giving you some handicapping.
That's crazy.
Maybe you hit 1 or 2, you get lucky. It's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That reminds. You ever see that movie The Sting?
No, but
Robert
I've been keen
Redford, I
to.
believe. Is Robert Redford in it? It's Paul Newman. And there's some other famous actors in it. I think there's horse racing at the end. It's a really good movie. I forget the details, but whatever. But dude, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
that you ended up getting that.
I won on the horse. But dude, let me just add a bit because I want to explain the rest of this evening. So we arrived at my friend's house, I don't know, 4:00 in the afternoon, maybe something like that. And, I took some mushrooms, I was drinking, smoking some weed, and I had played golf all day in the sun, so I was hot. By like 8:00, 9:00, I was wiped out.
Yeah.
I was wiped out. And we then were kind of waiting for Giulio to finish his comedy shows so that we could then go up to his apartment. Sierra wanted to see his place. We were excited to chill with them up there, also hanging out with our friend Abba. So we all go up finally at like 10:30 to G's place. And we're hanging out there. And I just kind of like fucking hit a wall. And I'm sitting on Giulio's incredibly comfortable couch. I'm so glad that we're in a safe space.
Right.
But
Where you can, because I like that is how you felt. That you could just lay out, chill.
It's a small group now. We're among friends, but all my highs have worn off. Everyone's cracking open White Claws.
Coming down off the boomers.
The rest of the group is sort of getting this second wind that it has left me behind. I was untouched by this second wind, and I am full on falling asleep on the couch and fighting it. And I'm aware that I am now an elephant in the room, a sleeping elephant in the room. And I'm very self-conscious about it because I don't want to bring the vibe down as everyone else is coming up. And I keep thinking, well, I got to give my girlfriend enough time here that she feels satisfied with the visit, but there's nothing more than I need to go home and go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? What is your solution for when you need to go to bed and nobody else wants you to go to bed?
Dude, it's a really tough. To be honest, I was wondering how that was going to play out because I was under the assumption that you guys were in control of the situation, and you're like, I'm going to go because what ended up happening is you ended up leaving.
Ultimately, I just said I have exhausted every last fume I had in the tank.
And you had a big week too, dude.
Yeah, and I turned to Sierra and I was like, I have to go, but you can stay by all means. And fortunately, Abba's a neighbor, so the two of them could split a ride home, have a quick affair, and then she could come back while I'm asleep, and I wouldn't even know. But I ended up everyone was okay with that, and what was crazy was as soon as I broached it and left, and And I was on the Uber home. I was like, why did I think that was going to be so hard? Why did I build that up in my head as being this incredibly difficult Band-Aid that I had to rip off?
So is that something that you've never done before?
I've done it, but I have to say, one of my biggest frustrations, fears, something that I really have a hard time with is wanting to leave a party and knowing that I need to leave a party and having to fight through people who are trying to keep me there.
Yeah, that sucks.
I
hate that too.
Cannot stand it.
Nobody opposed you.
No, which was almost a little insulting. The ease with which
Dude,
you were like, guys, yeah, well, you should get out of here.
No one wanted
you've
you to
overstayed.
leave.
Yeah.
No, I hate when people are pushy about shit. When they're like, come on.
Yeah.
I hate it. So I try very hard not to be that person. In retrospect, I'm thinking we would have been happy to let you fucking knock out in our bed. I'm assuming you wanted to go back to your own bed.
I wouldn't have done that.
We don't care.
But let's put it this way, right? Let's say we had shown up and I had been there for 15 minutes and then I was like, I gotta go.
Uh-huh.
I feel like there would have been a little bit of like, well, what are you doing, man? Why did you stay so short? Maybe a little bit of resentment.
Not for me.
We're close enough.
I would have worried that somehow that would have been a problem with you and your girlfriend. Would have been my thought. I wouldn't have been like, oh, I'm pissed. Why did Francis leave? But I would have worried that like somehow that was going to cause tension.
So what is the question is, what is the bare minimum amount of time that you can stay if from the moment you walk in the door, you are exhausted and you're just holding on?
It just really depends, dude. You know, like it just really depends. In that situation, I thought that you stayed for longer than you needed to, but I wasn't aware of how tired you were.
For the record, I did not want to leave from the moment I got in. I was having a great time and then I hit a wall. Then I was like, I stayed for another probably 20, 30 minutes.
It was inevitably a good time.
At least an hour and a half probably.
But
I was falling asleep on the couch. And my eyes were closing.
We also started we ran out of alcohol pretty quickly, which is like one of my biggest fears. Probably worked to your favor.
Yeah.
We ordered food and then we ended up ordering more alcohol that eventually came. But we ordered an appropriate enough amount that we exhausted it all. And then everybody's like, okay, we should all call it a night.
Yeah.
If we'd ordered more, who knows how late that night would have gone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We were cooking, dude.
Who knows what Abba and Sierra would have done.
So I gotta be honest, man. I think, and I find my girlfriend to be one of the most trustworthy people. Famous last words, but I find that to be the case. However, I don't think I would ever leave her somewhere alone.
Really?
And that is maybe me just being insecure. Maybe that's me having PTSD from times where I've done that and it has gone wrong with a person who maybe is has a little less favorable of character in my past. But even if it was with like one of my boys, I still think that I would feel uncomfortable doing that.
Interesting. Is it more of a not wanting to look as though you are abandoning her, or is it that you're worried that someone's going to swoop in?
I'm worried that everybody's fucked up, and when people are fucked up, they do shit that's like fucked up maybe, and like I don't want to put her in some kind of like precarious situation where who knows the limits of her personality. Like, this is just the thought, like the dark thought process going on in my head. I'm like, if people are drinking, people are fucked up. One of my guy friends is there with her, you know, and especially if it's like one of my guy friend, it depends which guy friend, you know what I mean? If it's like a guy friend that I deem to be kind of like charming, or maybe I think that he has something that I don't, or like I'll be maybe even more heightened with those feelings. And I know they're wrong probably, but still, you know, like shit happens. So like I prefer to avoid a situation like that ever even having the opportunity to come to the table.
I will, yes, I get that. I will say that me leaving Sierra at your place, there were two things. One, I couldn't tell you the last time that I have gone home before her.
Right.
Or without her.
Totally.
So I never do that. But two, almost could not pick a group of people I trust more
Totally.
than who was at your apartment
Totally.
that night.
Totally. And I get that. And I was trying to run that through my head. Who is that group for me?
Mhm.
And that group certainly exists for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like you and Hillary live there.
Yes.
And then Abba is one of my best, longest
Totally.
friends.
Totally.
And most importantly, I completely trust her.
Totally.
So unless that young comic was there, who this kid Peter was,
This guy Peter was
Giulio
over.
like scooped up a child
Okay.
at the comedy show and brought him over to hang. And we walked in, and I swear to God, Hillary goes, "There's some random child here."
Okay, so this guy, he's from Arizona. He's a funny comic. He opens for some of our friends. He ended up moving to New York. And it was one of those things where one of my boys was like, "Hey, I like this younger comic. I think he's funny. I'm going to try to like show him the ropes." So he had DM'd me being like, "What are you up to tonight?" I was like, "I have a spot. Come if you want." So he came and we kind of hung out, and then I was like, "Come by." And then it just turned into him being there. But that was funny and I was happy to have him there. I
He
wasn't
was
like,
sweet. He was a very
he's
sweet
a nice kid. And it was a funny addition to the, but he also kind of looks young for his age.
He's 22 and he looks 15.
Right.
And that's not an exaggeration.
It's probably something that he jokes about, I imagine.
I thought he was a younger cousin of yours or something. I could not
my Italian
fathom
cousin or something.
how this was the child boy that you had decided to bestow your teachings upon.
Dude,
This was your
Abba,
Padawan.
it was he was my Padawan. And
Yeah.
we're recording this on May the 4th be with you. So that's a good reference, Star Wars Day.
Yeah.
But he, Abba was like shitting on him for like an hour straight. And it was really funny. He's like, "Dude, you don't know shit." He's just like,
Abba gets that way.
it was really funny. And he was kind of feisty
He
too.
gets it back, yeah, because
So-
he's a comic.
Yeah. So it was funny. It was a really funny dynamic. Good times.
Yeah, I was glad to get home. It is a good question though. It's something I've wondered. You know, it's like, dude, because another thing is, we had stopped on the way to your place at a party, and it's so funny, the party we stopped at, because it was the party of bird dogs. And I'm not going to do the read right now. I'm not going to do the ad right now. But Bird Dogs was throwing a party at their office. And we walked in, and I said, because it was on the way to your apartment.
Mhm.
And by this point, it was like 10:30, 11. Their party had been going on for a while. And I told Abba and Sierra, with whom I was in the Uber or the cab or whatever, like, we got to stop in here for 10 minutes. I told them I was coming. I think it'd mean a lot to them. And we go in, and we are there for 10, 15 minutes. Everyone there is mutilated. Almost like unconscious, dude.
Mutilated is great.
It was The Walking Dead.
Mutilated.
And I'll even say, dude, that I ran into the guy Kyle from Summer House,
Oh, amazing.
who I really like.
He's a nice guy.
He was so fucked up that I honestly it was the kind of look you see on someone's face where when you're younger, you're like, we need to take him to the hospital.
Oh my God. Jesus.
There were no lights on upstairs. And yet, even through that,
The dark passenger.
I went up to him and I said hi. And I was like, "It's Francis Ellis." And he goes, "Francis, your alternate side parking series is fucking hilarious." And that was the end of our conversation. And it amazed me, because if I were in the state that he was in, there would be no fuses
You would-
still connected. And yet somehow he had
A
summoned
specific thing.
from the depths of his subconscious this tidbit he knew about me. He had a fact about me, and it almost was like what you'd expect Obama would be able to do.
You somehow
Where
have
he's like
something.
walking through a crowd and he's like, Senator Perry, your son's 16 and is a hell of a middle like a pitcher. And how's his left-handed curveball coming along? Like
he's got a hell of a curveball.
Yeah, like next person, like woman, and he's got a fact for everyone. And somehow Kyle from Summer House
Dude, that's
had
great.
one little cord of information that was, like the slowest internet connection was pumping a fact in for him, and he got it, and I was thrilled. But
dude, that's a specific, like that's pretty specific. That would be like if you were like, Kyle, you really cemented yourself as a star of Summer House in season 4.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
something
yeah.
that's like specific enough. It's pretty good. I'm impressed.
It amazed me.
I'm
It
impressed.
amazed me. And he's awesome. Boy, he loves the party. So we went to this Bird Dogs party, and sure enough, we after 10-15 minutes, I was like, okay, we gotta get on to Giulio's because we had told them we were on the way. And so we start extricating ourselves from this party, and these people were so bundled that they did the thing that I struggle with,
Oh God.
which was like they were like, no,
Come on.
you're not leaving, like grabbing my arm, being like, come on, come have a beer with me. And I'm like, I've got one in my hand that's completely full from when they gave it to me 10 seconds before. They're the nicest people ever. And like, I've done this to people too, but when you're not on someone's level and people are not letting you untangle yourself from the thorns of a grabby party, I get anxiety from that.
Mhm. Dude, it sucks.
Because you feel like you're hurting people's feelings. You feel like you're being rude.
I know. And dude, I've always really respected seeing people who just do not fold. And you set this new set of expectations. Like my friends know that they can coerce me into doing things I didn't plan to do.
Sure.
It's this funny thing about
Sure.
me. Like they all, dude, they tell this story. Like one time there's this bar called Barcelona. Did you ever do Broadway Comedy Club when you were coming up?
I did. And I also know Barcelona.
So dude, this was like the watering hole where like all the guys who were the class ahead of us would hang too. So like you go by there, you'd see Soder, like when he still used to drink, Joe List, like all these guys when they like still used to drink. Everybody hanging out at this bar, Barcelona. It's like a shop bar. And one time I had done a spot at Broadway. I went to the West Side Westerly Market. It's this like health food store, and got groceries. And I was like, I'm going to take my groceries back to Brooklyn with me. And I happen to walk by Barcelona holding my groceries, and I peer in the window and I see Benny and Ricky and Josh all drinking. And I go in with my groceries and I stay till 4 a.m. with my groceries. That's the story they tell about me. So like, this is the guy. I'm like, gee, come on. The word on the street is you just have to ask me 3 times and I'll do it.
Yeah.
But it's because I have so much fear of that emotion that you're describing that I will succumb to the pressure and I'll end up doing things I didn't want to.
You're like Will Ferrell's character in Austin Powers 1. Where he's like, I'll never tell. He's like, who does Dr. Evil work for? He's like, and fuck you. And he's like, who does Dr. Damn, 3 times.
Exactly. Dude, exactly. So, if people really
Find it annoying.
dude, like even my family, like I have cousins, like I have a cousin who lives in New Jersey, and sometimes he'll be like kind of pushy, but like not in like a loving way. And he doesn't get upset if I say no, but like for some reason in my head, I'm like, they're going to hate me if I say no. You know what I mean? I want to be this agreeable guy.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
hard. I struggle with it.
I think so many of us do. And the sad part is that it leads to one of 2 phenomena. I guess if it's one of 2 phenomena, I would make it singular. One of 2 phenomena. So the first is that it makes us all want to just Irish goodbye everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Because that is the easiest solution.
Correct.
You just disappear and don't tell people you're leaving. And frankly, everyone at the Bird Dogs party would not have been offended if I had done that.
Totally.
They were at the level where an Irish goodbye would have been apt.
Dude, side note, real quick. Is Irish goodbye ever going to be an unacceptable thing to say?
Good question.
Okay, continue.
The Irish
continue.
have pretty thick skin, believe it or not.
I have no problem with that one.
Yeah.
Or,
But and by the way, quick shout out to Mike Cannon and Mike Feeney who run their
Irish
Irish
Goodbye
Goodbye podcast. So that's the first thing. And I had gotten to an age where I think I kind of swore to myself that I would stop Irish goodbying as much as I did because people used to make fun of me for it in college and later because I used to do it a lot for
The Irish
for the
goodbye
express
guy.
purpose of avoiding
This
being
Yes.
having people trying to coerce me and then leaving on like a bad terms with the party.
you disappeared last night, dude.
No, but they don't even really give you shit for that. It's more like when people are like, "Don't go, come on, dude, you just got like have one more drink, it's just getting started, whatever." And then you're like, "No, I gotta go." That whole thing tends to get more thorny than the day after people giving you shit for
Oh, that's
having Irish
definitely,
goodbye.
definitely.
But the other thing that will happen is I'll just instead of having to deal with anyone, I won't even go at all.
Right. Which is bad too.
And not both of those situations are a bummer.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is why whenever anyone tries to leave my house or my party, I immediately get up and give them a hug. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you got it. People know when they need to leave at this age.
Francis, just more good hosting.
People know.
Accolades.
They let them call their time of departure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how badly do you need company that you need to fight people to stay at your apartment?
Yeah, dude, totally.
And again, yeah. Let's talk about Bird Dog's pants though. In light of all of this. So
Well, dude, if you got an Irish, it's a good pair of pants to be wearing.
it is a good pair of pants to wear if you're gonna fight through a sea of arms clinging to you and trying to keep you in. Dude, it's kind of like that scene in Battle of the Bastards from that Game of Thrones
that's a
episode where
good
Jon Snow is like gasping for breath and all the arms are like pulling him back under. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how it was at the party.
When he's fighting, what's his name? The bastard? The other bastard?
Yeah,
What's his name again?
Ramsay Bolton.
Ramsay Bolton.
But Jon Snow would have done far better in that fight had he worn his Bird Dogs pants. We love the Bird Dogs pants. They have built-in underwear liners. They're the perfect pant for a cool summer evening, for a nice round of golf. They're kind of athleisurely pants that can also absolutely fly as business casual.
Dude, you for sure wore them throughout the entire day. From golf to bouncing around to parties to finishing the evening lying on my couch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you slept in them.
No, you're right. I don't think I did, but I would have been fine too.
Yeah.
Because they're that comfortable.
Flexible.
And if you use promo code OOPS right now, when you buy your first pair of Bird Dogs at birddogs.com, you will get a pair of rubber sandals.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Not to be confused with a company that rhymes with blocks.
Amphibious sandals.
Yeah. So go to birddogs.com right now, get your first pair of pants or shorts, and have a great summer with those.
So, dude, another phenomenon that I would like to discuss, and I don't know if you relate to this in any capacity, but for some reason, every single time my parents come to visit me in the city and we have some like full day of activities planned or whatever, for whatever reason, the night before I stay out till 4 a.m. and I wake up and I'm just like so tired. And now I have this day with my parents that ends up being wonderful. But it's just crazy that I can't avoid doing that. And this weekend was no exception. You know, you guys were there till pretty late, you know, your girl and Abba, and we were all up till, you know, late. And then the next day, poor Hillary had to like help her cousin take her bed out of her old apartment. She was up at 8 a.m., dude.
Yes.
And then she crawled back into bed at 10 and I felt so bad for her. And then my parents show up at like an hour later and then we do this full day. Like my parents just love to, you know, gallivant. We go to Brooklyn, we go to the botanical gardens. And Hillary made a funny point. She's like, I never realized this about you until your parents came, but like you guys just love to like look at stuff. Like we drove up to the old house where my mom moved after they moved from their first house when they moved to America. And we just sat outside of the car and we just looked at it for a little. And then that was it. We kept it moving. And then Hillary bought a candle and everyone's smelling it. You know, Zio Butch came, my dad and my mom, everyone's smelling the candle. My dad has an ice cream cone. I'm really, we're just a group of adult children
Yeah.
being led by Hillary, who's the only true adult. We're just all a bunch of kids, dude.
It's wonderful.
My dad got an Italian ice, and then he got an ice cream cone.
Good for him.
And he bought 3 cheesecakes, of course. We, of course, went to the cheesecake store. Zio Butch was there as well, plotting his, how he's going to grab a couple pieces.
Nice.
Oh, and I'm sure he bought one for himself too, dude.
This cast of characters.
It's too funny.
You
man.
posted an Instagram story and it made me so happy.
It was one of my best performing Instagram stories that I've ever posted.
I'm
serious.
This group that you were with, your family, I mean, everyone looked so happy.
They're pretty cute.
And I have to say, Giulio, credit to you for rising to the occasion of your parents visiting on very little sleep.
Thank you.
Because I thought what you were going to say is that when your parents visit for the day after you've stayed up till 4 a.m., you're grumpy and you are kind of quiet and disconsolate and not not that fun to be around, because that's what happens to me. My parents come to visit. If I haven't slept well, I have a hard time faking it for them.
Right.
And then they're just like, I'm sad after because I feel like I've been an asshole, and they're so excited to see me and I'm just like this shell of a person. And it's a huge bummer, but good for you for being able to just rise to the occasion. That's an impressive thing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I took them to eat Korean food, broadened their horizons a little bit.
Wow.
We went to this place, Chodangol.
Okay.
I live close enough to Koreatown now that I wanted to kind of explore the spots. I really am a fan of Korean cuisine. I think it's great. I took them, I ordered for the table. Everyone was sort of skeptical, but at the end of the meal, everyone was very happy. They're all picky, a bunch of picky fucks, dude. I mean, Hillary has to be because she can die at any moment.
Yeah.
And she's like, are there nuts in this? And the guy's just going, huh? Are there nuts in this? Huh? I'm like, oh boy, Jesus. Huh? And then my parents are kind of like, what's that? And then everybody ate and everybody was happy. So
Good.
it ended up working out. And then I think they kind of realized that we were struggling a bit because they were going to come up after dinner and they ended up just leaving. And I wasn't sure if it was because they thought we were tired or not. All in all, a good time. But, it would have been in the future, I would like to not have to rally for that. I would like to kind of just be like up, alert, ready to go.
Yeah.
But we made it work. So.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, here's something I wanted to talk to you about. We've kind of hinted that our podcast was on the verge, we thought, of being signed by a big network, which would be, a huge leap forward and a major validation of all the hard work that we've all put in over the almost 2 years that we've been doing this.
And how, big we've gotten.
Yeah.
It's really become a thing. It's great.
And we kind of thought, because it took a few weeks for, us to hear the news. And after a couple weeks, we kind of thought we were not going to get it. And then we got an email that sort of revived our hopes. In fact, we got that email on Saturday night, or maybe a Friday night or Thursday. I don't know,
night,
whatever.
yeah.
We've been hanging out so much. And we started getting super amped and being like, the boys are still alive. We still got a shot. And after that, I went from having managed my expectations and feeling like it wasn't going to happen, to all of a sudden believing it would. And then sure enough, on Monday, we got an email saying they were passing. And I was devastated.
Right. Yeah.
I was absolutely broken from it.
Now, for the record, just so we can save face here, the reason why it ended up not working out was a technical reason. As far as like the programming they have and stuff, we just sort of didn't fit into the roster.
Yeah, we would have been the first podcast of our kind on their network. Typically, they represent very different things from what we do, and so we thought maybe that'd be interesting. And they were
branch out, maybe, but I guess not
and
yet.
they were like, we're not kind of ready to do that yet, but if we do, you'll be the first people we call. Who knows? All of that is to say, I was shattered from this, and dealing with disappointment is something that is a very interesting topic to me. Do you have a process that you go through for how you cope and how you put the pieces back together? I'm not talking about grief
Yeah.
or, loss. I'm talking about like we can even keep it specific to career and
Yeah, okay,
opportunities.
dude, totally. Well, you're so close to that big moment where it's gonna be because these kind of like quote unquote life changing things don't happen that often in
No.
our business. Not as often as you would think as an outsider. It's like the thing where they say, you know, it took you 20 years to become famous overnight. That holds true for the most part. But there are these moments where like you just catch a big W, you know, and
Yeah.
before it happens, it's unclear if it's going to happen, and you start getting your hopes up. And then when it gets ripped away from you, it is just the most brutal thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me before. Dude, for a specific example, I had tested for a TV show. And, you know, I learned later that like, you know, actors will get to the point where they're testing quote unquote for things. That's where you've gotten through the audition process. You've gotten through the callback process. And now there's 3 of you, and you go and you audition in front of the director and then in front of the network. And then they kind of decide who's going to get it. So the first time, like I just signed with a new agent, my first audition that I did, and they called me in. It was this TV show called Forever. I did like 20 episodes, I think, on ABC. It ended up getting picked up. It was for the pilot. I was like positive I was going to get it. And you sign the contract. It tells you how much money you're going to make. And it's
Yeah.
like a life-changing amount of money.
Yeah.
It would have been like, they're paying you $30,000, $40,000 an episode. And this show ran for 20 episodes. So just do the math. It's very simple. So you get your hopes up, and then it's ripped away from you. And it's as if it never happened. Nobody even knew how close you were.
Yeah.
And now you're just back to the fucking loser you were before. That's how you feel.
Yeah.
And dude, like there are situations where it doesn't hurt as bad as it does other times, but sometimes you got to fucking just cry, feel like shit about yourself for a couple of days, shake it off, and keep going.
Yeah, I guess there's no special answer. I remember when I was applying to law school, you know, I had really thought I had spent a whole year of my life basically grooming myself for law school, maybe a year and a half, studying my ass off for the LSAT, taking a job as a paralegal at the district attorney's office, and doing a whole year of work that really was not fun and brutal and paid very little, simply for the sake of improving my candidacy and giving me something to like write about in my law school applications. And I had, you know, come from Harvard where I had a good GPA. I did relatively well in the LSAT. I think I was in the 92nd percentile. And I had told myself, law school is so much about the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They basically say like, if your LSAT score is this, your grade point average is this, and whatever else, these are the schools where you have a chance.
Right.
These will be a reach, whatever. And I had kind of told myself, well, you know, the fact that I have the good job and the fact that I have done stand-up and I've written this interesting personal essay on my application about how being a trial attorney is an interesting step, having come from the stage of stand-up comedy. I kind of had told myself, well, like they'll take a shine to
bite,
me.
yeah.
They'll read beyond the numbers. And dude, I applied to the top 18 law schools, and then I had like a couple safeties that were, you know, I applied to like the 25th ranked one, which was I think Fordham, and then 32nd, and then like the 100th ranked one. And there was a period where I think it was like 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 2 months, where I was getting a letter from a law school every 4 days when I walked home from this shitty job. That was a rejection. You get 18 rejection letters.
Savage.
Like one after another, not waitlisted, not,
Right.
putting into a different pool, or we want to look again.
Dear Mr. Ellis,
Just like
fuck off.
straight up no. Yale, Harvard, Stanford, on and on and on it went. And to receive such universal rejection, such consistent rejection, beats you down.
Yeah.
It beats you down almost to the point where I was no longer getting disappointed after the 14th one.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, the 25th one, which is exactly where the numbers said I was probably going to get in, I
Right.
got in there.
Great.
Yeah, but like I didn't even want to go.
Yeah, no, I know.
I really wanted to go
Right.
to Stanford or wherever. And it just sucked, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like last night, the whole point of me bringing that up was to say that not getting signed by the network last night was as disappointing to me as the law school thing.
Yeah.
That I haven't felt that level of disappointment since then.
Yeah. Dude, I listen, man, there are.
And I'm sorry to just
No, dude, it's
put
okay.
these weights on you because
You're not.
you've been so much more buoyed about it than I have.
Dude, in a way, like I almost feel like I want to make it better for you. I know that sounds like weird, but I feel like if you feel bad, I'm like, okay, we got to get Francis feeling good
And
again.
you need that.
And that maybe is a way for me to not have to deal with how disappointing it is, you know?
Yeah, but we're also fine. We're fine.
Dude.
Like the podcast is humming.
We've also been talking to other people.
We have some other
We're
opportunities. We're
of
not
course we're doing
dead in the water. This wasn't a zero-sum game.
Definitely not.
It's just that I really thought we were going to get it.
Yeah.
And I thought we were going to get it because of them.
And you know what, dude? Like what we do and the kind of world that revolves around what we do truly is difficult. And dude, it's no coincidence that so many like actors join the Church of Scientology and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just people who have been bashed over and over and over again with rejection.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. No, like getting close, not getting it. And like, how do you deal with that? You know,
Yeah.
and this is going to sound corny, but like when you take L's, like you really got to fucking dust it off and get up again, because like these things they don't define you. You know, they don't dictate your worth. Like you will get lucky. It is arbitrary to a point. And granted, with this was a little more, you know, specific with the pod and whatever, but like in general, your best day is around the corner, you know?
Totally. And there are two thoughts I have off of what you just said. The first is you mentioned earlier that you had seen what the contract would be.
Yes.
And that is a particularly difficult
You
thing
sign it.
in our work, where I have signed what are called if-come deals, where you know what you stand to make if you get the job, and the numbers are astronomical.
They will change your life.
But you won't make a dime of it unless every star aligns.
Right. And then you're just the guy who was taking pictures in the audition room.
Yeah.
I have a big audition today.
Yeah, there's no middle ground. There's no like you come this far, well, like maybe we can find you another position in this place or whatever. You don't have necessarily multiple balls in the air. So all of that is to say that that's particularly difficult.
Yeah.
But then the other part is I have a couple other ways. Like one is like I'll make myself ice cream.
It's nice.
I gotta have an ice cream. I had a big ice cream last night.
Good, dude.
In fact, I had a pint of ice cream, Van Leeuwen,
Ooh,
their
delicious.
vegan ice cream, so it's non-dairy.
Murder my girlfriend immediately, cashew, but it's delicious.
Oh,
I remember those days.
yeah.
They're so fucking good.
Well, what I will do is I'll take it out of the freezer and I'll put it in the microwave for 15 seconds so I can get
Nice
the
and
spoon
soft.
in there real easy. And then what I did was I was like scooping it, and then I was like, who the fuck do I think I am? And I just took the entire pint on a spoon and then put that in a bowl.
Awesome.
And you might ask yourself, well, why didn't I just eat it out of the pint? There's something much more dignified about transferring it into a bowl.
Yeah, it goes from this like sad moment to a triumphant moment.
That's it.
You are in fact in control.
And then I took a couple big scoops of our Brooklyn Roasting Company
Oh, fuck yeah,
coffee peanut butter
Oh,
and put
the
that
best.
on top. And I had a nice 14,000 calorie snack at midnight last night. And people wonder why I'm tired all the
Cheat
time.
meal.
So that's how I cope. I eat ice cream. I think that's a better way, frankly, than drinking or drugs or whatever.
Dude, you know what's funny in these situations, and sorry to carry on about this, but every time you catch one of those big L's, there's always like some specific excuse that's supposed to like make you feel better about it. But then you look back and you're like, was that it?
Yeah.
Like, do I remember I did a prank show and it got canceled, and they were like, oh, it's because it debuted the week that Hurricane Katrina happened. That's the only reason. Or then like they'll be like, oh, dude, the MTV changed presidents. Like there's a new guy. He's shifting away from this kind of programming.
Yeah.
I had this pilot that got dropped. Like there's always some excuse, and then it's like you look back on it, and you're like, was it actually?
Yeah.
This is just designed specifically to soften the blow.
I agree. I agree. The one I get a lot, and this is insane, is, people will tell me like, well, it's super hard to cast a straight white male right now. And then you think to yourself, well, yeah, it's tough. It's tough for me as a straight white male. But then then the thought I have is like, do you think that Bradley Cooper ever had the thought of like, boy, I sure was lucky to get this part given that I'm a straight white male? No.
I don't know. But dude, then you watch TV too, and there's just straight white men everywhere.
They're still killing it. Like, I'm just not good enough as a straight white male. That's it.
And then someone's like, oh, it's the fucking British. Why don't they get Americans to play American part? There's always somebody fucking bitching, dude.
Yeah.
You just gotta listen. This is gonna sound, you're probably gonna roll your eyes at this thought. And this doesn't directly relate to us with the podcast stuff, but in general, some big success like that isn't gonna define you and make you happy. You gotta be happy with or without it. Certainly it can add to your happiness, but you got to be happy with yourself too, or you're never going to find true happiness.
Yes. And that's a very holistic thought. But on a more realistic level, this was a time in my life where getting that would have been a huge relief.
Right. Yes, of course.
Because I just left my job, my job ended, and I've started this independent,
give
pursuit.
it a shout. Give it a shout out.
Check out the Patreon. That's where I'm writing and posting videos and all of that. Francis Ellis, patreon.com. Please subscribe. And if in this transition period we had picked up a big network opportunity like this, it just would have taken a lot of the pressure off me and a lot of the fear out of my day.
And also just reassuring, knowing you're like, see, I went off my own. It was the right move.
Yeah.
You don't yet get to say that.
Yeah.
But you will. But you will.
But you got to claw, man. We've chosen a field where you just have to constantly claw.
It's tough out there.
You're clawing for everything. So, best of luck to everyone. If you're dealing with disappointment, hopefully some of what we said can soften the blow. Eat that ice cream,
Go
baby.
eat some ice cream.
Get some Brooklyn Roasting Company coffee, peanut butter to go with it. And check out our YouTube page. Check out our Instagram. It's all Oops the Podcast. Send us your emails to oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. We love you. Thank you so much for your support. Hopefully there are much bigger things for us on the horizon, and I suspect there are. Clear skies ahead. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Talk to you soon.